god! Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB and welcome back to my Shadowhunter review reaction series, and tonight we are covering 316 Stay With Me. Oh boy everyone. So this episode, I think this has become, I said in the past that 312 had become my favorite episode. This one by far takes it so far. This was a fantastic, fantastic episode. I was brought to tears, I got angry, I was happy, so many emotions, and I cannot wait to delve right into it. But first I do want to say, I'm doing this reaction a little bit differently compared to my other ones. So on top of doing my reaction to the sneak peeks, I'm also going to be reacting live to the show, because I recorded myself while I was watching the episode live, and those will be included in this review. So if you guys want to stick around for that, I will leave time codes in the description so you can see that. But other than that, let's delve right into it. So first off, we have to talk about this scene in particular. So, we have been teased of a lot of certain scenes in 3B. First one that came to my mind was obviously the Malec training scene. By far, went far beyond my expectations. It was so good. It's one of my favorite Malec scenes ever at this point. And the other one was the Malec dancing scene. And again, I mean, just exceeding does not even begin to describe how impressed, amazed, and how much I loved this scene so much. So first off, we have Magnus eating waffles. Apparently Alec made them, and Alec's being a little flirty, which we don't always get to see that side of Alec, so it was really cool to see that. And they were talking, and then all of a sudden Alec just stands up and is like, "Care to dance?" And one of the funnier bits is when Magnus is like, I'm getting nightmares, flashbacks to Havana, nightmares about your two left feet. And he just trusts Alec, and they get up and they start dancing. And I have to say this. I don't know what Harry did to teach Matt Dario these dance steps, because even looking at that, those are pretty intricate steps for someone who isn't considered a dancer. I was so impressed with Mr. Daddario. That was done so well. He kept right on up with Harry, who's a professional dancer. Just, oh my god, it warmed my heart. I was just so blown away by what I was watching that my reaction here pretty much just says it all. Oh my god, this is actually happening, Oh my, Matt? Hello? Excuse me? What?
I guess I do believe you're speechless. A lot of things right now, Alexander.
I cannot believe I'm witnessing Matthew Daddario dancing alongside Harry Shum Jr. and it actually looks good. Oh no. Sadly though, as I kind of suspected in my reaction to that clip, this probably was like a fever dream, quote unquote, and this is all in his head because Magnus is obviously still convulsing on the floor. He's passed out at this point. Catarina comes in along with Izzy, and Catarina starts doing CPR, but then she realizes this is a lot worse. She starts using magic to kind of give like electroshock, I guess is the correct term, yeah, and trying to get him to wake up or stabilize him. And obviously, I almost said Matt. Alec is freaking out. He's wondering what the hell happened, and we'll get into that bit later and also react to that clip later. But now we have Jonathan, who is covered in blood. Apparently he has been slaughtering all the past alive owners of the Morningstar sword, and we finally have one name left, and thanks to his little Seelie mistress, whatever you want to call her, find out that the last person to have the Morningstar, and currently still has it, is the Seelie Queen. Why is it always the Seelie Queen? Why is it that she is like the instigator of so many bad things in this show? She has done so much like crap to everyone. I'm just shocked how do they put up with her? Like, why do they even bother keeping the Seelie Queen around? Does someone want to explain this to me? Anyone? And speaking of Jonathan, we have a little scene between Jace and Clary. I've got that clip right here, so let's pop in our headphones and let's react to the clip.
That's good. What did they do to you?
They couldn't do anything. The demonic tether that binds me to Jonathan is stronger than anything they've ever seen before.
I mean, it was put on there by a greater demon, the Queen of Hell, so that makes sense.
It doesn't mean we're out of options. You saw that illustration with me. Michael separated himself from Lucifer. That means there has to be a way.
Probably convoluted, but...
Maybe we go straight to the source.
You talking about Lilith?
She gave me the rune. She's got to know how to remove it. A warlock can summon her. We can...
No. Look, we just got rid of her, and it almost cost you your life.
I don't know what else to do.
Okay.
When I saw Jonathan last night, I couldn't call for help. I couldn't walk away. I couldn't do anything. And after what happened with Aileen and the fire, I can feel it, Jace. It's this darkness. It's growing, and
Dark Clary is emerging again. So, okay. Here's the thing with both theories. So, I understand where Clary's coming from when she says that she doesn't know what to do. Honestly, they've tried multiple options, and also, if the Silent Brothers can't do anything to get rid of this rune, there's really no other option but to go to the person who put it there in the first place. Sadly, that's Lilith, and she can be a bit of a troublemaker, and she has her own agenda, but that's the only person they can really turn to at this point. But I also understand where Jace is coming from, because they just banished her. You know, he went through his whole ordeal with Lilith, and, you know, because of her, partially because of her, you know, Clary was sent far, far away, and it's just, I understand both conflicts, and I honestly don't know which one would be better. Because going to Lilith would give you more information, but also would you risk hurting yourself or others to get said information? But I mean, that's a pretty common thing with this episode and also with the show. So actually, I'm gonna jump in to another sneak peek. So let's watch the clip.
I don't know if you can hear me. This is my fault.
It's like every time, I've seen this a couple times already.
Selfish.
I still get emotional.
When you first lost your powers and you said you're okay with it, I didn't think twice. I guess I was just so happy that maybe we could grow old together.
Ugh.
I guess I just didn't realize deep down how much you were suffering.
You could just hear the crying in his voice. Oh, man.
Mavis, I love you
God.
more than anyone in the world. And
Hand grab! Oh my god. Yeah. Like, just every time I watch that clip, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but like my eyes are watering a little bit. Oh my god. Here's the thing. I understand why Alec feels the way he feels. He feels guilty because the love of his life is lying in a hospital bed in front of him, completely stripped away of his normal facade, the way he presents himself. That's all gone. He's there, just lifeless. And he feels responsible partially for that. But the thing is, Magnus didn't say anything really to Alec. Not really. I mean, there were a couple of times when he brought out like his frustrations and what the loss of his magic really meant to him, but they didn't go really deep with it. They never sat down and talked about what this truly meant for Magnus. And because of that, Alec didn't really understand why he would go to Lorenzo to get this back, why he would go to kind of sworn enemy number 1 and risk all of this just to get his magic back. And so I can't, it's like, yes, there is some partial blame on Alec, but most of it does lie on Magnus, because he is the one who always holds back his emotions whenever he talks to anyone, even with Alec. And it drives me nuts, and I'm hoping that by the time, like, in the future, that they can, like, actually sit down and talk about these things, because it's not good for the relationship. It's not.
Magnus's body is rejecting Lorenzo's magic.
Damn you, Lorenzo!
Rejecting? Well, what do you mean?
Think of it like a failing organ transplant. Each time Magnus performs a spell, it puts a tremendous strain on his body. He got lucky this time. He will regain consciousness.
Oh, God.
But if he uses magic again, even for something small, he might not survive.
Lorenzo did this on purpose.
Alec, there's no way he could have planned it. With magic transfusions, there's always this possibility.
No, he knew how desperate Magnus was. He took advantage of him. I'm not gonna let this son of a bitch get away with it.
That's
You
right.
need to settle down. What's the Shadowhunters saying? Emotions cloud judgment? You lose your temper with Lorenzo, he'll have less incentive to help. Like it or not, Lorenzo Ray is Magnus's only hope.
I want to kill Lorenzo! So outside of the infirmary, we have Simon, Izzy, Clary, and Jace. They're all kind of just wanting to see where Magnus is at. And this kind of leads to Clary kind of starting to unravel a tiny bit more. We get a small glimpse of Dark Clary when she yells at Simon to, are you gonna tell me a joke to make me feel better? And obviously this shocks Simon and Izzy, who are right there, but it also, again, it shocks Clary, because again, it's the darkness that she mentioned earlier, it keeps like coming back full force. And she's finally turning to Jace and's like, I can't live like this. We need to do this now. And I do want to make a quick little shout out to whoever did the cinematography, and I forgot who directed the episode. Someone needs to remind me in the comments, but the way they had this one shot of Clary being reflected into what I believe was a glass table when she's talking about, all of these things unraveling in her life. That was a brilliant parallel and a brilliant shot, and I love whoever came up with that concept to do that. I love them. But anyway, this whole instigation leads to Jace, Clary, Izzy, and Simon coming up with this plan to get Lilith back into this world from Edom. So they come up with this plan to possibly have a warlock, but they can't find anyone to bring Lilith in. They don't want to risk it, and I honestly do not blame them. And then Clary's like, no, I can probably come up with a rune to bring her in, like as a portal or some sort of like a dead rune or something like that. And then Simon suggests that they bring Cain in to be a shield, since Simon obviously doesn't have his mark anymore. I'm kind of wondering if Simon regrets getting rid of the mark of Cain now, because honestly, that probably would have made things go a little bit better, but we'll get to that later toward the end of the review. This is all their way of trying to get Lilith to talk. And obviously, Izzy is going to bring in the Malachi configuration, which is the barrier that they trapped Jace in toward the end of 3A. And apparently she had done some modifications to it to make it stronger so they can hold a greater demon like Lilith. So this is their plan, and slowly the plan starts to come forward. But before we get to that, I have to say, someone needs to give Matthew Daddario an Emmy. He needs this upcoming award season for whatever awards he can be up for. He deserves all of them, because he acted this episode to a T. He did such a fantastic job, because in this scene, he goes over to what was formerly Magnus's loft, which now is completely covered in Lorenzo's shit, and just, I don't know, just the whole thought of having Lorenzo's things in Magnus's house, that irked me so much, and I hated it. Just, again, makes me hate Lorenzo even more. But obviously, okay, one of my favorite parts is when he's listening to some sort of Mozart or whatever, and you know, he's like telling Alec, like, no, let's wait for this part. This part's amazing. And then Alec is just having none of it. He just goes over and just stops the record and just, you know, you could see the look on his face. He is pissed. He is angry. He is about to break all hell. And just the look on his face and just the way he was, oh, just, it's so good. It's all so good. But anyway, Alec basically is saying, Lorenzo, you need to take this magic away from Magnus. It's killing him. And then now we finally get the answer, which we kind of assumed. It gives us the answer as to why Lorenzo hates Magnus so much and why they've always had this like butting heads relationship. It's because, honestly, Lorenzo's jealous. He is jealous of Magnus and what he has. He feels like Magnus has always had everything go right for him, that he was always been praised. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, quote unquote. And honestly, I call bullshit on that. We all know that our boy Magnus has been through some shit. He has been through so much throughout his very long life. You know, his mother committed suicide. He killed his stepfather. You know, he had to do some pretty rough things when he was living with Asmodeus. He lived on his own for a long time. He's been through trials and tribulations when it came to all sorts of relationships. He has been through so much that he deserves every ounce of praise that he gets because of what he has been through. He could have turned into his father. He could have turned into Asmodeus if he allowed himself to do that, but he didn't. Instead, he turned himself into this caring, beautiful man who's willing to put himself to the side to help others. That is an amazing thing. So yes, he deserves all the praise he can ever get. And that's what Alec tries to say to him. You know, he is loved by people and he deserves it. But, you know, Lorenzo's not hearing any of it. And when Alec basically called him a bastard and said, you know, if you don't do this, I'm going to, Lorenzo just kind of blasts him with like a pushback with magic and just wants to end the conversation. He's done with it. But then Alec, just, again, a lot of heartbreaking moments with Alec this episode. He asks Lorenzo, have you ever been in love? And Lorenzo kind of brushes it off and he's like, of course I have. I've been alive for 300 or so years. Of course I have. And then Alec goes, well, there's only one, Magnus. Or there's only one for me, and that's Magnus. He is my world. And then just spills his heart to Lorenzo, basically begging him to come and get rid of this magic from Magnus. And he starts to cry. And that was the first moment. I have never cried during this show. I've gotten emotional, and there is a big difference between being emotional and actually crying. There's two separate areas right here. I've been emotional on the show a good number of times. This is the first whole episode where I actually did cry. Not like full, like, watershed cry, but like I was like crying, like my eyes were watering, I could feel tears, like I was crying.
For me, it's only one. Magnus. He is my world. And if he dies...
Alec!
Look, he's no threat to you. Okay? He doesn't have his powers. Just...
Oh my God!
Please help him.
Ah, the show got me. I've never cried at this show. Oh my God, I'm actually... That was the first moment. That was the first sign of my tears coming. Because seeing Alec cry, and I mentioned this in my 3B trailer reaction video, that the minute I saw Alec cry, I was gonna cry too, and lo and behold, it happened. So, just love Alec so much in this episode. And then we finally go back to the Seelie Court, where we meet the new Seelie Queen, which is the original Seelie Queen, but she's putting on like a new skin, I guess we could put it in that way, but it sounds a little odd. But Jonathan goes to meet the Seelie Queen to confront her about the Morningstar sword, and she does admit that she has it, but she wants a price. And the price is something to do with getting revenge on Lilith. So she offers to kill Jonathan and give his head on a silver platter to Lilith, and that would be a great revenge thing for her. But Jonathan offers if he can kill Lilith and basically give some sort of a trophy from Lilith to the Seelie Queen, that all he asks for is for the Morning Star Sword in return. She seems to be okay with that. I don't know if that's a good plan for her to do that. And again, of course, the Seelie Queen being who she is, she's just going to want revenge. That's all she wants. She won't care about what Jonathan's going to do with the sword or whatever he's going to do for his whole grand scheme of things, which we still really don't really all know about. But all she cares about is getting revenge, and that's all she cares about. As long as she is safe and her people are safe, she does not give a crap about anybody else. And that's another reason why the Seelie Queen is like one of those antagonists that I just cannot get behind. Definitely not in the same realm as Lorenzo and Heidi, that's for sure. But she's like in between, where like Lilith and Jonathan, Valentine, Asmodeus, they're all here. Lorenzo and Heidi are here. Seelie Queen's like right in the middle. She's like borderlines both sides for me. And then we have a cute little Laris or Maruk moment where Maris goes to visit Luke in prison. He is officially in prison. He's got the jumper on and everything. And she brings him some books because she's now the owner of the book and antique shop that was where they had their little deciphering session about trying to get into the safe to learn more about the Morning Star Sword. And I'm just, again, I think I said this in the last time I talked about these two. It's so good to see the two of them like being happy together. Like they both deserve to have like a person that they can really connect to and love. And I'm really excited to see how their relationship is going to bloom. And I just love seeing Maris being like the kind, caring woman. I think she always was that, but being married to Robert and, you know, being under the authority of the Clave, it really like dragged her to this kind of bad place as far as her personality is concerned. But I love seeing her as like this loving, caring person, and it's just so fun to watch. And now my final in-seat reaction to a clip. We have this really cute moment between Simon and Izzy when they're trying to find Kane back in the sewers. So let's go ahead and play that.
I heard about Raphael. You okay?
If I hadn't let myself fall for him, I think things would have ended differently.
Maybe.
But I would assume they would still have a pretty decent friendship, at least, I would hope.
Now, after seeing what Jace went through when he thought Clary was dead, watching Alec fall apart over Magnus, I'm not sure I want love in my life.
Izzy, come on. She does not give herself that much credit when it comes to romance.
You and Maya just broke up.
It's fine. Maya's where she should be, with Jordan at the Praetor. Besides, I don't know if this whole love thing is really for me. How hard I try, I just can't seem to make it work.
Aw, but you two are together in one place.
Let's make a pact. Single for life.
What is that?
It's a pinky swear. You've never done one of these before.
No, but it looks, serious.
It's very serious. I mean, the consequences of a broken pinky swear could be dire.
Oh, I love the two of them together. They need to get together right now. We're halfway through season 3B. We're halfway through. They need to get together like now. I want that to happen so bad. They're so freaking cute together. The whole pinky swear thing. And she doesn't know what the hell a pinky swear is. It's just, oh. And then of course my heart breaks because they're both just like, we've been in these relationships and they haven't worked. We shouldn't even try. But they're together in the same place. I know that they feel that chemistry. They have to feel that chemistry. Oh, it's maddening, but it's sweet at the same time. It's just, I want Sizzy to officially happen. Like now. Like now. It needs to happen. Then we go back to good old Jonathan, who decides to make a portal to Edom to confront Lilith. And his plan, according to the deal that he made with the Seelie Queen, is to kill her, and this way he can get the Morning Star Sword. And of course, what we saw with Magnus when he entered Edom to meet his father back at the end of season 3A, going through that portal is very painful. So obviously when he steps through it and he starts kind of bent over in pain, Clary obviously feels it, and that's probably the first sign that something's not gonna go right. that was just a quick little cut because we go back to Simon and Izzy, who find Cain and try to convince him to come back and fight against Lilith. Now, obviously, Cain has got a lot of baggage when it comes to Lilith, and that's understandable. But Simon is like, you need to face these demons. You have to face it. If not, you're just going to be rotting in this sewer for the rest of your life. And you're a vampire. You're immortal. So this long stretch of time, you are going to be living this way when you need to be kind of doing these things to kind of heal yourself in a certain way. And I loved that bit where Simon is just like, you know what, Heidi, you know, tortured my family, she tortured me, she tortured everyone around me. I understand what it's like to be manipulated and to be tortured. And because I think that is a moment where Cain's like, you know, he's right, I need to face Lilith again, I need to confront this, all this guilt, all of this anger, and whatever emotions are associated with it. He needs to face it, or what else is he gonna do? And then finally, our boy Magnus wakes up, and obviously he doesn't like the fact that he's in hospital scrubs. He's got no makeup and no nail polish on, no nada. And obviously he wants to go and use his magic to change his clothes, but Alec immediately stops him. Magnus is confused, and all of a sudden, Lorenzo is standing right behind them. He's actually at the Institute, in the infirmary, which means that somehow Alec had convinced Lorenzo to come back and get rid of the magic he placed on Magnus. But of course, Magnus being Magnus, he doesn't want to get rid of the magic. It's so dear and precious to him that he is willing to keep it even though it's going to possibly hurt or kill him, if not both. And then Alec, of course, questions Magnus about this and is like, are you really willing to die for this magic? And Magnus is like, maybe I am. And that breaks my heart because I understand that as a warlock, your magic is that precious and important to you. It makes a part of who you are. But to die for your magic, I think that's a little excessive. You know, no one should die for something that they think is that precious, you know. And then, you know what? I think I'm gonna have my reaction to this clip explain how I felt about it.
But is it really worth dying for? Magnus, answer me. Baby.
Magnus!
How can you even say that? I am nothing without my magic.
Magnus, no! You're so much more.
You fell in love with Magnus Bane, High Warlock of Brooklyn. Can you honestly say that you don't feel differently about me? Look at me. Can you honestly say you like this? Yes. Your powers were incredible. But that's not why I fell in love with you. I fell in love with you because you're wise and you're generous and you're brave and you're incredible. When you walk into a room, there's a spark in you, magic or not, that lights everything and everyone around you. And hey, I won't lose you. I can't.
Oh my god. I mean, I mean, what else can I say? But that clip, I mean, Malec broke my heart this episode. They really did, and both in a good way and in a bad way. And it's just, oh my god, just the way Alec just spilled his heart, gave his whole heart to Magnus right there. I mean, that was the other moment where I'm just like my first time crier watching Shadowhunters. Here she is, first time crier. Oh, it just, you know, it hit me right here. It just really hit me right here. But sadly, let's move on to a relationship that's not quite as precious, and that is between Jonathan and Lilith. And I have to say, watching the two of them together, it's intense, it's weird. We had a little bit of an awkward moment with like an Oedipus style kiss. You guys hopefully know that reference. If not, look it up. But their relationship, it's so fascinating. And of course, both Anna and Luke, they play it to perfection. Like, they just feed off of that weird demon-blooded connection type of a thing, and it's so fascinating to watch. We also got a little bit of information from Lilith about Asmodeus. Apparently, Asmodeus had taken advantage of Lilith when she was drained of her powers because she was blown straight back to Edom, and he used Magnus's magic to sort of contain her and take away her position as Queen of Edom. Here's a question. How did Magnus come from Asmodeus again? Like, how are these two, like, personality-wise related? It makes no sense at all. But anyway, going back onto Lilith, like I said, they had a weird little kiss. They had a couple of heart words, especially with Lilith wanting to tell Jonathan that Clary is not good for him, that he belongs with her, and then he reputes that. And then it ends up with Jonathan trying to stab her, but she gets whisked away to this empty power plant, not entirely sure, that Jace, Clary, Izzy, Simon, and Kane are all at. Everything's all set up. Clary draws the rune, it works. Lilith is now back into our world in the Malachi configuration. And now we are starting to get the truth about Michael and Lucifer. But we have a quick little cut from that to Lorenzo taking Magnus's magic away, or taking his magic back from Magnus, if that makes sense. And obviously, Magnus is not feeling okay with this. He doesn't want to get rid of it because, like I've said before, it meant so much to him. But a sweet moment is when after once the magic's taken back from him, and Lorenzo's like, this doesn't change anything, I'm still keeping your apartment. And Magnus is like, that's fine, I've got everything I need right here. Ah, my heart. I needed to hear that. I mean, that's the thing. After everything that they've said to each other in this episode alone, plus the other events, I like the fact that Magnus is finally like, I really just need Alec. Like, I need the people that I love in my life, and that's really all I need. Now, obviously, he wants to have that completeness again, but it's just so nice to see him say that, and it's just so... Oh, my heart, Malec, breaking my heart. Why? So after that quick little cut, we go back to Lilith and the whole group in the power plant area, and Lilith finally gives us some information about Michael and Lucifer, and that Michael was able to banish the rune that connected him to Lucifer by using another sword that was similar to the Morning Star, but instead of like kind of taking in demonic energy, it actually sort of purifies it, or like purges it by Lilith's own words. And that's the only way to get rid of the mark. You need something to banish that demon energy out of you. So when they ask, where's the sword now, which is called Glorious, the sword's called Glorious, I forgot to mention that. They ask, where is Glorious? And Lilith's like, it's nowhere. Michael destroyed it. It was shattered into a million pieces, and now they've been lost to time. So, yeah. Don't know how this is going to transpire. I don't know how they're going to get the rune taken off of Clary now, because apparently that's the only way to get it off. Unless by some miracle, maybe Clary can come up with a new rune that can kind of be a substitute for Glorious. I don't know. But I don't really know what other options they have right now. And then after Lilith spills this information, out of nowhere, here comes Jonathan attacking Jace, and they have their own little fight between the two of them. Izzy gets involved a little bit, and then Simon gets involved and bites Jonathan on the neck because he was going after Izzy, and, Sizzy action, and he wanted to protect her, and then, he bites him on the neck. Clary feels it, and when he stops, like that demon blood is like hurting him. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. It was a very intense fight scene.
Okay! Hello, Jonathan!
Hello, sister.
Oh boy. Ooh, those slow-mo shots though, hello.
kiss of Lilith. I don't care what you're here. You don't learn, do you?
Oh! Oh! Oh, oh, she's out like a light.
You hurt Claire.
Damn that rune. Oh! Oh, God, that was gross. Oh, God. Where's Alec? He definitely felt that. Holy... Oh! No!
And then, of course, Lilith being frickin' Lilith, she pulls her little manipulative, seductive ways, or whatever you want to call it, and actually convinces Cain to let her go, and they both end up going to eat him. So now, Lilith's got a bodyguard with the mark of Cain on it. That's not going to make things any better for them, but one silver lining is that Clary is able to snap herself out of the connection between her and Jonathan and portals him to the Institute's cell underground. So now Jonathan is at the Institute, he's locked away, and hopefully nothing bad will happen, but hey, it's Shadowhunters. There's gotta be a bad thing in every episode or we wouldn't have an exciting show. So this is gonna lead to some pretty interesting conversations between him and Clary. Whew, it's just, oh boy, just things coming up. Now, a part I didn't expect to have happen. We have Luke being cleared of his murder charges and gets freed by someone named Scott, who is apparently a fellow werewolf who either is or works for Praetor Lupus. Now, if any of you are book readers, maybe there's some tidbits of information you're willing to share in the comments, but I don't know who this is, and I'm very curious about who this guy is and what is this going to mean for Luke. I kind of wonder, is this going to be Luke's new mission now, or is this going to be another, like, obstacle? I don't know, but I'm very fascinated about Scott and Praetor Lupus and all that sort of stuff. So I'm excited to see that. Then we go back to the Institute really quick, and Clary talks to Jace about, you know, how he's been helping her with these dark impulses, that she feels like he's the, like, complete counterbalance. Like, if she feels like this darkness coming on, she can rely on Jace to be there for her. And also, this is finally where Izzy tells Clary and Jace about Heavenly Fire and its involvement with Glorious, because it uses Heavenly Fire, whatever that means, and what all of this has to do with the Clave, because obviously the Clave knows something about Glorious, because since it uses Heavenly Fire. We've got a big conspiracy on our hands here, and I'm very excited to see where that leads. And then we end on a moment all of us knew was coming if we really looked at behind-the-scenes photos and teases from producers and writers of the show. Alec goes to meet Maris, who's working at the bookstore, and he sits her down and basically says, you know, this whole thing with Magnus, it's made me realize how much I love him and how much I can't live without him. And at first I'm like, okay, we knew that. Is this going to lead to something? Because I suspected what was going to happen next, but I didn't expect for it to be worded the way it was worded. So Alec asks Maris that he needs the family ring, like the Lightwood ring, which I know is a big thing in the books. He asks for the ring because he wants to propose to Magnus. I wish I had filmed this and I didn't, but I like was jumping on my, like, hopping on my bed like this, like I was so like taken aback that we finally get the proof that these two are going to get married, if not at least engaged. I mean, oh my god. And this is the thing too, it's like a lot of us have known that this was going to happen, that the wedding was probably going to be a Malec wedding, but still to hear him say, I want to propose to Magnus, I want him to marry me. It's like the fangirl in me just like screamed off the top of her lungs. I was so excited, and I'm now just so excited to see Like, I want there to be a prolonged scene of Alec prepping for the proposal, and when he proposes to Magnus, I want that so badly. I don't know if we're gonna get it next week. We're gonna have to get it soon though. Oh my god, like I am just like, ah. I need to calm down, And of course that's where the episode ends. But it happens on a happy note. We started with a bad position with Magnus and Alec given the health scare, but we end on a happy note with Alec wanting to propose and he wants to marry Magnus. And it's just, oh my god, oh my heart. Okay, so that's it. I'm done. I've been through so many emotions, including my first time crying at a Shadowhunter episode. But yeah, that is all I have for this review. So if you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me comments down below. What did you think of this incredible episode? All your favorite moments, any theories or predictions for next week or the rest of the season, let me know because I would love to read those comments. And if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah.